Hi guys, in a today's video we are going to learn variable scope and scope resolutions. So variable scope is nothing but the we can say where a variable is visible and accessible. So let's learn with the example. Consider we have two functions. One function name is consider we have two functions ctc1 and ctc1s have a variable a which have a value 25 lakhs. So let's print that value a. Also we have a second functions ctc2 which value b. We have a 22 lakh 3. Now let's invoke these two functions like ctc1 and ctc2. Okay. Why we are not getting this? Because we haven't print this variable. Okay, let's print the b variable also, so we will get the value of a b also. So consider we are getting the 25 and 25 lakh and a 22 lakh as a variable. So what we are doing, we have defined the two functions, function ctc1, function ctc2, and we have defined a variable, a variable in a ctc1 functions, b variable and a ctc2 function. So a variable is a local variable for that ctc function, also b variable is a local variable for that ctc2 functions, because that variable which is the present inside the function, so that is for that so we can use b variable only for the ctc functions. If we define that variable outside the function, so we can use for a global use also. So consider we have a variable that we have defined into ctc1 functions, and we have a b variable that we have into ctc2 functions. So let's swap and check it is possible to use that variable which is not present into a specific, we can say, function. Can we use that variable for other function? So as we can see, b is not defined, so we can't use local variable in another function. That we need to remember. Okay, but this is the local variable, this is the variable scope, the okay, variable scope like this okay, a variable scope is only for this function and b variable scope only for this function. So consider if you have uh, if you have this is the local variable scope, we can say. Now consider if you define the global instead of defining the b at this place, if we define any of this variable outside the functions as a global variable. So consider b has 25 lakh. Okay, that defines. So let's use that b variable which is global variable we are using for each function. Let's run this function and see what we are getting. See, as you can say, we are getting the 25 lakh because that variable we define the outside the function. So if we are defining the any variable outside the function, that variable as consider as a global variable. So now you will one questions in mind, you will get the one questions. If I define the same variable name with the inside the function as a global variable and the same variable name as a outside the function as a outside the function as a global variable and the inside the function as a local variable. So let's see how we are getting the result. Okay, so firstly, if you know, okay, functions will firstly we will invoke the function like the function 1 and the functions 2. That variable is the defined outside, though b value is the 25 lpa. So firstly ctc1 will when we invoke the function, this ctc1 will get call and a 25. Let's consider this value as a 26 for a differentiation. So we are getting the b value is the 25. Let's see what we are getting. See, as you can see, b value